Hi, challengers. Welcome to day 3. Just know that I can't come on here every day live, but if something pops up that I think you need to know about, I am going to come on here so you have all the information so your challenge goes well. We are on day 3, so we still got 19 more days of the challenge to go. I hope everyone's doing great and you're feeling good, you're eating your fat and keeping carbs out of your plan, or at least lower. But I did get an email. I calculated someone's macros, and I'm going to keep her anonymous because she sent an email, and I don't know if she wants to be talked about, so I'll keep her anonymous. And she got her macros, and she said that she was afraid to eat as much fat as I had recommended. So when I go through your macros, I do take into account your height, your weight, how active you are. That's a big one. Also, if you are used to keto or if you're brand new. So those are some of the things that I take into account. I'm not just guessing or throwing numbers together. They are based on your stats. And so this particular person got 140 grams as her ideal range, which if you're new to keto, that's a lot of fat. So I'm not saying that she should just tomorrow start eating 140 grams of fat, even if she's full, that she just needs to keep stuffing it in, because that's not going to go well for her. But to work up to that range over time, I mean, if you're hungry and you can eat 140 grams of fat, if that's your number, go for it. But I don't want you to stuff it in just because that's the number I gave you. I know we talked about that yesterday, but sometimes repeating these things are good. It's good to hear it multiple times. But so I want to know, is there anyone who should bear fat? And I don't want to say that you should bear fat because I don't think anyone should, but there are some people who need to back down. Candace says, hi. Hi, Candace. I see Lynn's here too. So there are some people that will need to add fat more slowly. And so the macros I gave you are keto macros. Those are what you'll need to find keto success. But if you're not digesting the fat that you eat correctly, that means that you need to add the fat in a little bit more slowly. And you might not get these crazy results, but if you're getting diarrhea or gas pains, you're not going to feel good, and you're not going to get results like that either, because you're not absorbing the nutrients. It's just going right through you. And I know diarrhea sounds like you're going to lose a lot of weight, but it's actually the opposite, because your body isn't getting the nutrients that it needs. So it's going to hold on to the stored fat because it needs something to live off on. So diarrhea does not sound like fun. Either is severe gas or nausea, acne. I know I had a big problem with that back in the day. And these are all signs that you're not digesting fat well. Nausea, of course, can also be caused if you're not getting enough electrolytes, so definitely make sure you're getting those. But if you're really nauseous, it could be from too much fat. And so if that's the case for you, then you definitely need to work on ramping up your fat a little more slowly. If you're new to this, maybe one day you can only have 100 grams, and then you do that for a while, and then maybe the next day you could have 110 grams. Listen to your body. Don't force it. I don't want you to feel sick. That's not the point of this. There's Joey.
Mommy,
What, Joey?
this my lightsaber is broken.
Oh, you're showing them your lightsaber? Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, Mommy's got to finish her video, okay?
My lightsaber is broken. This lightsaber.
Okay, I'll hold it for you. All right. Sorry, 3-year-olds. So you'll want to ramp up your fat more slowly if you're not digesting it well. Pushing through and feeling miserable is not the best way to lose weight, so I definitely wouldn't recommend that. You can also, if you're having trouble digesting fat, you can try to eat more coconut oil, because that is one of the easiest fats to digest. So I definitely recommend the coconut yummies, or if you don't like straight coconut oil like that, try to mix it with some dark chocolate. I like the minty melt or the orange chocolate fat bombs. Those are on my website. The raspberry ones, if you like a raspberry flavor. But that coconut oil will be easier to digest for you. Something else you could do if you're having trouble emulsifying the fats, if you're getting sick. You can also add in some beet flow, which there's instructions in the digestion course. I'm sure you've heard us talk about it on the podcast, so I can help you with that too if you're not sure if that's right for you. I know a few of you mentioned that you don't have gallbladders, which can make a keto diet a little bit tricky. So I definitely, for all of you that do not have a gallbladder, you could still do keto. Plenty of people have success. You probably saw Suzanne, who was just on our podcast. She doesn't have a gallbladder, but she lost over 70 pounds in a year, and that's because she was doing keto the right way for her body. She was supplementing with ox bile, and whether you do keto or some other diet, if you don't have a gallbladder, ox bile can really be life-changing for you. I have an aunt that she doesn't follow keto, but she had stomach issues for years, and she went to so many different doctors, could not find the solution, and so she started following my information. All she needed was ox bile, and her stomach issues cleared up. And she was so mad at doctors for not telling her this. But I don't think a lot of doctors are, unfortunately, trained to know this. They're just trained, it's a natural remedy, and they're trained in pharmaceutical remedies. So definitely, if you don't have your gallbladder, I do recommend taking ox bile and taking the digestion course so you learn how to use it properly, because if you're not timing it right, then it's not really going to work for you. So go get the digestion course. It's at eatingfatisthenewskinny.com/fixme. And watch it, and then if you have any questions, I'm here for you. I have instructions on my website at that same page, so read through those, and then I can help you with any questions that you have about that. And but as far as fearing fat, because the mainstream tells us that we should be afraid of fat, eating fat doesn't make you fat. It's just a lie that we've been told forever, back starting in the low-fat days, like in the 70s and the 80s. And it's actually carbs that are spiking your insulin, and that is what's resulting in fat storage. So when you eat those high-carb diets, it's spiking your insulin, and then you're not able to get into your fat stores. And then when you eat extra fat, that's what's making you fat. It's the combo of the carbs, too many carbs plus too much fat. So if you're eating too many carbs plus too much fat, you're going to gain weight. It's just a fact of life. So once you start raising your fat, you just want to be sure that you're bringing those carbs down. I recommend for most people to keep it under 30 total per day, not net, total. And so, subtracting out those sugar alcohols, that's what stalls a lot of people. So I never recommend that. If you eat a few extra vegetables and it goes over 30, that's something you really need to test for yourself. Some people are fine with that. I'm fine with that. My husband, he's not. He's really insulin resistant, so he can't really go above 20. Some people can't go above 10. So it's really an individual thing, how insulin resistant you are, and how your body is processing the foods you eat. So general advice is usually just start with 20. Some people need more than that, though. If you have really low blood pressure, then you're going to feel really bad. And carbs is a way to thicken the blood, so it brings your blood pressure up, which can help you feel better. And when you feel better, that is when you could stick to your plan, and you don't want to go on those all-out binges, because that's not going to help you. So you definitely want to feel good. You want your blood pressure to be in a normal range, and for some people, if that means eating a little bit more carbs to help you feel normal so you could stick with your diet and not binge, then that might be the road that you have to take. And that's kind of what I talked about yesterday, is if these keto macros feel too strict for you, if they feel like you want to binge, definitely let me know, and we can work out a plan that will work long-term for you. So we'll do that. But I don't want you to fear fat just because the mainstream tells you that you should fear fat. So I have been doing a project that I need to get done, and I'm going to send to you, but it's basically a food log of how I eat. So I am about 5'7", 5'7.5", and my typical weight is around 145. I don't really weigh myself a ton anymore, but I average around 145. And some days I fast. Some days I'll fast for up to 20 or even 24 hours, probably closer to 20 now. But most days I eat within a 4 to 6 hour window. And I eat a lot in that 4 to 6 hour window. I was looking through my food log, and I think the lowest day on there was like 120 grams of fat, maybe 100, but more like 120. My average days are probably like 140 or 150 grams of fat. And I had some days on there that I was up near 200 grams of fat. So the reason it's all over the place is because I'm listening to my body. I'm eating when I'm hungry. I'm not eating when I'm not. And sometimes mixing it up like that, like having a really high day and having a really low day, can really jumpstart your body. So if you've been stalled, that's really a good tactic to try, to have a few lower days and a few higher days. But if you have been stalled, you definitely want to have a few more higher days, because your body needs to know that that fat is coming in. So anyway, 5'7", 145, I'm eating around 200 grams of fat. That's well over 2,000 calories, and no diet app out there would ever tell me to eat that. They would tell me to eat like 1,200, maybe 1,300 calories. And I tried that and it didn't work for me. So I'm just here to tell you, I'm giving you me as my example, real life example, that eating fat is not going to make you fat. It's actually going to help you. It's going to help you get into ketosis. Maybe you need to lower it once you're in ketosis, but at least to get in, a lot of people need that fat high, as long as you can also digest it. So definitely don't fear eating the fat. That being said, you might need to take your time to work up to the fat macros that I gave you, because for me personally, eating that much fat didn't happen overnight. After 20 years of dieting, I damaged my metabolism. I really had to train my body to thrive on more food and a lot more fat. So when I started low carb, high fat, my digestion was absolutely awful. I had cystic acne, I had nausea, strong gas pains, and I really had to do some work. I had to put in the work in order to get my fat digestion back on track. I didn't really think it was possible to get rid of acne or gas pains that I had my whole life. TC said in the book that not having gas or having gas every day isn't normal. And I didn't believe him. Like, that's just life, right? Everyone has gas. But for a few years now, I haven't had it. And I can attest that it is normal. You just, not having gas is normal. You just have to work yourself up to getting there. And it does take work if that's where you are, but it's so worth it, because you just feel so good. You can finally maintain your weight without struggling, which is the biggest benefit for me. But like I said, I had to work up to that. And so the way that I started working up with that is adding more coconut oil. I was eating a lot of the coconut yummies, so I'd have one after every meal. And then once I got used to that, maybe I'd have a little bit more, like maybe 1.5 or 2 after meals when I felt like I needed more fat. I didn't like just the straight coconut oil, so that's when I started adding in more chocolate. I did the chocolate peanut butter coconut oil fat bombs. Those are delicious. So I just worked my way up over time. So if you feel like the fat macros that I gave you are too high for you, you're too full, you're just not ready for it mentally, just know that you don't have to do it overnight. You can work your way up there. For a lot of people, just lowering carbs is enough at the beginning. Just taking out the processed junk food is enough. So don't feel like you need to get your macros perfect right from the start. So I just wanted to pop on and let you know that. And I think that's it. I mean, if you're hungry, I don't want you to be afraid of that. I want you to eat it, embrace it. We had a challenger last time that she was severely restricting her food. I think she was at the 12 or 1,300 calories recommended, and she was in the same position. She was so scared to eat fat. I gave her a lot more fat to eat, and she started getting results right away. Like, she was so shocked and amazed that she could actually eat more food and lose weight, and she went on to have really great success by eating more food. So I don't want you to not eat fat just because you're mentally afraid. If you need to work your way up to it, do it. But your body needs to know that there's not a famine going on. It needs to know that you're bringing in plenty of resources. And when I say resources, I mean food, nutrients, minerals. It needs to know that those resources are there so it can let go of your stored body fat. And so you are not stressed out. But listen to your body too. All right, that is all I have today. My little guy wants to go swimming, so we are going to go do that. All right, have a good day, and let me know any questions you have in the group.